During the 1930s, the population of Japan was about 70 million, and the rate of population growth was about 1.5%. Close to half of those, 49%, lived in rural areas. Their everyday lives were frugal. Actually, it would be more accurate to say that they lived in extreme poverty. Not only in farming areas, but in the cities too, there was no place to work. And the unemployed, living a hand-to-mouth existence, were everywhere. Then the war began, and until 1945, Japan was a drab nation of militarism. Miki, you know the TV drama Oshin, don't you?
Uh-huh. I remember it well. They ate rice with radish mixed in it, and then very little. Isn't that right?
Your old grandfather now, well, I was there too. I lived in a village when I was just about the same age as Oshin. But to tell you the truth, conditions were much worse. I was so hungry I thought I was going to die. Still, we didn't have a thing to eat. And there was a time when my friend and I went out and stole somebody else's cucumbers and ate them. My mother gave me a good scolding and beat me too. There she was beating me, and all the while tears were streaming down her face. As soon as the young boys graduated from elementary school, they'd be sent to merchants or craftsmen as apprentices. And the girls, they'd be sent out to work in spinning mills and so forth.
Ah, yes, I know. I saw that in a movie called Nomugi Toge Pass. They had to work from morning till night. And if they got sick, they still had to work. That was really terrible. I cried when I saw it.
But the war was even worse. It was 1937, and we were at war with China. The young men in the villages and cities were all rounded up and sent off. 4 years later, we got into another war, fighting against the US and the UK.
That was the Second World War, wasn't it? We just learned about that at school.
Yes, you're right. Metals were requisitioned from all over the country for the war effort in order to make fighter planes, battleships, cannons, and whatnot.
But war is stupid.
You're right. Even though there are many reasons for it, it's stupid. We'll never know how much trouble we cause for the rest of the world, especially to the people of Asia. Besides that, there were all the tragedies that took place right here in Japan. Those who died on the battlefield and in the air raids were more than 4 million altogether. A lot of my friends, too, lost their lives then. "1945, and we'd lost the war. We'll never go to war again. That's what we declared."
You probably mean Article 9 of the Constitution, the renunciation of war. We learned about that too in social studies.
Yet, even 10 years after the war, the people were still as destitute as before. Maybe they were even worse off. But then, we worked so hard. We just wanted to make our country rich like America or Europe. That was the goal. Let's hurry and catch up with America, and then pass them by. We worked morning and night. Why, Miki, your dad was there too, hard at work.
Really?
Thanks to free trade, we could import all kinds of raw materials. We intently studied techniques for processing them into all kinds of things, and finally got to be able to make just about anything. In those days, the streets were alive with vigor. The young people from the villages started gathering in Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, steadily moving into these big cities where the factories and offices were. Everyday life also continued to get better, and housing complexes were rapidly going up. The population of urban areas became greater than that of the rural villages. New high-speed expressways were built, and the Shinkansen started making runs in preparation for the Tokyo Olympics in 1964. It was the fastest train in the world at that time. We left the U.S. behind in the production of steel, and finally became the top producer in the world. Then, making use of that steel, we became the leader in shipbuilding. That was, I believe, about 1965. They called it the period of rapid growth. And with that incredible energy, businesses just got to be larger and larger. Still, there were problems. The air and the water flowing in the rivers became polluted as a result of the rapid development of this large-scale production.
I know. You're talking about environmental pollution, aren't you?
That's right. There were even people who died because of diseases brought about by this pollution. Then, the companies and the government and the people joined in too, and worked hard to clean it up. And as a result, we've become one of the nations with the least environmental pollution. After that, Japan sharpened its technological skills even further and moved to production involving the reduction of energy consumption.
Reduction of energy consumption?
That's right. Using as few natural resources as possible, and making products that are convenient and small that do a lot using very little energy.
Oh, I know. Digital watches, computers, and things like that.
Yes. And then came high-level technology. Production of machines with PCs, computers, and such built into them. And, as if adjusting to an easier way of life, the birth rate also gradually began to decline. You know what birth rate means, don't you, Miki?
It means something about the rate that babies are born, doesn't it?
Yes, that's right. Along with that, excellent hospitals came to be built all over the country. Wonderful medical apparatus and new drugs were developed. And then the death rate also began to decline.
Yes, and I want you to live a long time too, Grandpa.
I know. But if everyone lives so long, it's going to be really tough for your generation when you grow up.
Why is that?
Well, your taxes will go to pay for medical treatment when we get sick, and also to pay for pensions and such. That means that your taxes will go up.
Oh, is that what you mean? Well, that's okay with me, because I really love you. I'm going to give you a present on your next birthday, Grandpa. What would you like?
Well, let me see. I wonder what I'd like. You know, I don't need anything, and I already have everything I want.
Oh, but there must be something.
Just to see your cheerful, smiling face, that's all.
And here, just when I thought I'd like to give you something. That's no fun.
Everyone just seems to have too many things. It's like we have so much that no matter what we get, we no longer have any feeling of being fortunate or gratified.
Do you really think so?
Just think of what we have. 2 TVs, and then a car, and a piano, and an air conditioner, videotape deck, microwave oven, personal computer, and more.
Just like you were saying before, about having all kinds of electric appliances and not lacking anything at all.
It's the same everywhere. Your friends too, isn't that right, Mickey?
Uh-huh. All of the things we have, everybody else has too.
Uh-huh, I thought so. So, people these days are eager to find more fulfillment than just in material things. That's how they feel, like going to concerts, for instance. And with so many people traveling overseas these days, I'm sure it's because they want to have more of a feeling of satisfaction. Miki, you and your friends go to the beach or go skiing because you want to do something enjoyable, isn't that right?
I suppose you're right.
Besides that, people have been joining all kinds of groups, getting involved in preserving the environment, and recycling, or perhaps volunteer activities.
People do that so they can be happy?
Yes, of course. When they get involved in something like that, it makes them feel good, or perhaps gives them a sense of relief or fulfillment. Absolutely. I guess what it really means is that there have been changes in where we find our sense of values and feelings of happiness.
But I always feel that I'm happy.
Well, Miki, you say that you always feel happy, but are you going to keep on being happy forever?
I guess I don't know.
Some things will have to be done here in Japan very soon so that you can keep on being happy even when you are an adult.
What kind of things?
Well, they say that population might begin to show signs of decreasing. Tell me, Miki, right now in school, how many classes are there for one school year?
Well, for one school year, there'd be 3 classes with maybe 40 students in each.
See what I mean? At the time your father was in school, there would have been 6.
But what's wrong with the population getting smaller?
There are a number of things that cause problems. For example, factories that have been producing things up to now could no longer operate. The present-day production-age population of Japan, that means the number of able-bodied people between the ages of 15 and 64, is already decreasing. The population of those involved in primary industries, such as agriculture and fisheries, has already declined this much. In the end, we may not be able to eat rice, vegetables, fruit, or fish unless we import them. If there's a decrease in the number of working people, then tertiary industries won't function correctly either.
Tertiary industries? You mean like commercial or service industries, don't you? We just happen to be learning about that right now.
That's right. Say, for example, you go shopping, but there are so few people working in the shop that you have to wait in line. You go to a restaurant, but they won't let you in until it's your turn. Then you have to wait so long before your food is ready. That's the way it might get to be. It may be that you'll have a hard time getting into a hospital.
Is that the way Japan is going to be when I grow up?
Well, we have to make sure it doesn't get to be that way.
So what can we do?
These days, there are a lot of people in other countries in Asia who are having a hard time because there's no work for them.
Sure, I've seen that on the news.
It seems that we can no longer make it on our own here in Japan. We're going to have to get along with people all over the world and cooperate with them so that we can all prosper. So, that means that we'll have to have those people help us out, especially those in Asian countries who have nowhere to work. That'll be necessary if we want to develop our industries further in the future. And in order to have them help us, first off, we can enact some laws that will make it possible.
Enact laws?
That's right. There are already lots of Asians who have come here to work. Many have braced themselves for violations of Japanese law and the system. So, laws will have to be made so that we can give these people some peace of mind while they work. Then, there's wages, housing, and social welfare. So what happens if they get injured or something? It'll be necessary to provide them with insurance and such under the same conditions that apply to Japanese citizens. Together with that, we can build factories in those countries and have them make all kinds of products there. Of course, we'd also provide them with the knowledge, techniques, and methods for producing them. These days, it's important that companies in these Asian countries produce goods in cooperation with Japanese companies too. It's beneficial for them in building up their own economies and should help to bring them prosperity. Then, Japan would import the products made in these countries. That would be good for both them and us.
If that's the case, then does that mean that in Japan in the future, it would be better to eliminate all of those companies that make things in factories?
No, what I mean is that those things that can be made in Japan, those things that we are really skilled at, can still be made here, and we'll have to continue doing that much.
I see.
Let me put it this way. There's the development of new technologies. There's research and development for new products. And the knowledge-intensive type industries. Yes, I think that it would be best that Japan take responsibility for these. In order to do all of these things, we'll have to get to know a lot more about these other Asian countries. We'll have to learn about their cultures and ways of thinking, customs, languages, and so forth. What that means is that we will have to engage in cultural exchanges.
Grandpa, I'm really impressed. Are you always thinking about things like that?
No, not always. But still, we have to do what we can to get along with others, to bring happiness to those around us, and work together for prosperity. And we're going to have to give some thought to what things are going to be like when you are an adult, aren't we?
Yes, we'll have to, won't we? But Grandpa, you're really something, you know that?
And besides that, my generation caused a lot of trouble for the people of Asia during the war. We have an obligation to provide whatever cooperation is necessary.
But Daddy told me that we were giving a lot of aid to people all over the world.
Yes, we are. For example, if we combine the aid contributed by both governmental and private sources for development overseas, the amount would be second only to that of the United States. All of us are contributing about 11,000 yen each for such aid. These funds are going to Indonesia, China, Thailand, the Philippines, and other Asian countries. Also to countries in Africa and South and Central America. And we're also involved in providing much in terms of human assistance, such as in the acceptance of trainees, the dispatch of survey delegations and specialists, the Japan Overseas Cooperation Volunteers, and so forth.
So we are doing a lot to help others.
But we too are being provided with all sorts of raw materials. So, it's really a case of helping and being helped. And by maintaining a spirit of friendship with one another, we will be able to go on living together.
Really? If you say so, Grandpa.
They say that in the 21st century, the population of the nations of the world, including those of Asia, will multiply explosively. Fluctuations in population have a profound influence on industry, and such things are deeply involved in not only industrialized societies, but in the future of the country concerned, and also the future of the world as a whole. If we just allow the population to continue to increase, it's possible that all natural resources will be completely depleted. This could well lead to the devastation of the world. Some of the problems of humanity going into the 21st century are concerned with protecting the earth and how we can create a world of peace and prosperity. But the greatest problem of all is that of population. In order to come to some kind of solution, we have to heed well what the people of the rest of the world, especially those in Asia, have to say. Then come to a mutual understanding and trust, and do what we can to help each other out.